if you have a hard job, we're humans. We need reset moments. And it doesn't have to be running. But for
Yeah.
me, running is the reset moment where you can kind of shift your brain. And humans do think better thoughts when they're on the move. Like, I think studies have shown that if you're out walking in the woods or you're running, you actually do think in complex ways that you can't really reach when you're at your desk, or are harder to reach while you're at your desk.
Yeah.
And so you need a moment where you're like daydreaming.
Welcome to the Marni On The Move podcast. Today I'm syncing up with Nicholas Thompson, the author of the incredible new book, The Running Ground. He's also the CEO of The Atlantic and hosts a podcast called The Most Interesting Things in AI.
It's so great to meet you after all this time connecting back and forth and following your running journey. Thanks for being on the Marni On The Move podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Marni.
Did you run yet today?
I have not run yet today. I'm going for a special run this afternoon on an island in Maine with my kids. So I'm saving for that.
Kind of run.
Not a long run. Yesterday we did a tempo run. I took my oldest son and we ran as hard as we could on this 4-mile loop. And then today we're going out to Cranberry Island, which is an island I write about in the book. And we're going to meet one of the characters, Michael Westfall, and we're going to go run the 2-mile loop that goes from one end of the island to the other, which, as I write in the book, is kind of famous because at one point the island had a population of 40, 7 of whom were sub 3-hour marathoners.
What role has running played in your success professionally, like as a leader, as a thinker, as a decision maker?
There are habits and lessons you learn from running that apply to the work world really well. And so I've always been someone who, both in my running and my work, I tend not to get stressed out by one of the things that can really slow you down, right, in running or in work or in anything, is if you have a task and you're daunted by it and you're like, how am I going to get this done in a week? Or how will we hit this goal in a year? And because you're daunted by it, you spend a lot of time thinking about how hard it is. And I've always had a approach of like, if you just start doing it, it usually works out, right? Like, I remember thinking about this when I was a young journalist where, oh my God, how am I going to get this story done in a day? I don't know, stress about it or just start making phone calls. The thing that is most helpful to me across them is that I'm very good at just kind of going to the next thing, right? And not wasting a lot of time between things. And so I'll set my to-do list at the Atlantic and then I'll just start. And I'll just start going through it. And some people are like, oh my God, like, how can you be CEO, but like you don't come in until like 9 o'clock in the morning and like you leave at 6 and you go see your family, and you can actually do a lot between 9 and 6 if you work a little bit in the morning, you work a little bit late at night, you see your kids, but if you just work, so that's extremely helpful. And then there are other lessons that you learn, right? You learn that in running, to get faster, sometimes you have to be really uncomfortable and you have to push really hard. And that's true in work too, right? Sometimes you have to set a goal that doesn't really seem possible, and you have to kind of train yourself to go faster than you think you can go. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But I feel like that's an important lesson. I guess, and actually I should probably say this is maybe the most important, is that this isn't a lesson from running, but if you have a hard job, we're humans. We need reset moments, and it doesn't have to be running. But for me, running is the reset moment where you can kind of shift your brain. And humans do think better thoughts when they're on the move. Like, I think studies have shown that if you're out walking in the woods or you're running, you actually do think in complex ways that you can't really reach when you're at your desk, or are harder to reach while you're at your desk. Yeah. And so you need a moment where you're like daydreaming. And for me, it's hard. Like, when else am I going to daydream, right? I can't sit in the office and daydream, right? I've got, you're back to back. So running is a chance to let my mind wander a little bit, which I think is a healthy process. So it's both a question of like, and then there are other things, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is underappreciated. I don't stay out late. I haven't been drunk in like decades, right? I don't if I go to an event, I go to bed because I've got to get up early. So if you're sleeping well, you're eating well, and you're doing all these things because you have to, or else you couldn't run. Like that's helpful for your work too, right? That we underappreciate how much performance at your job is tied to like performance in your running.
What kind of shoe do you like to run in? Like a stack or a type of foam or a rocker?
I think rockers are, I don't like, I can talk within brands, like I do better in the Vaporfly than the Alphafly, right?
Okay.
For whatever reason with my stride and like my pace and my speed, I'm a like medium responder in the Alphafly and a high responder in the Vaporfly. In the Puma line, the Fast R3s are clearly the best shoe for me, more than the Nitro Elites or any of their other racing shoes. So it's like a reasonable stack height and a plate are great
Yeah.
for me. And then, if you're running a 50 miler, comfort's so important.
Yeah, totally. What do you, and when you, on your trail runs, like what are you liking these days?
So the trail runs, I'm running in the normal shoes. I don't know what, I think
Okay.
it's called a Kino. It's Kilian Jornet's running shoe company, and he sent me a pair, and they're awesome. And so
Okay.
I have a big trail race in and the next week. It's a Twisted Branch 100K, and I've got to decide what I'm going to run in the Ultra Flies or the normals. Or just the normals are like they've kind of felt the best, but they also feel a little heavy. And I haven't quite made a decision. Maybe I'll look at the data there and see. I did some similar mountain runs in different pairs of shoes, and we'll see how the data stacks up.
Do you like keep Excel spreadsheets of like all your shoe stuff, or do you have like a system?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I probably
I
should.
thought you do it at use running as moving meditation or
I will often, okay, breathe into your nose, out through your mouth, count to three, right? And I don't meditate very much, but I will literally try to meditate on some of my runs. So I have different kinds of mental states in my runs, and so sometimes for example, I ran 40 miles on, today is a Friday, it was on Sunday,
yeah,
in Acadia National Park, and so that's a long time out there.
that's a long
So for
time.
some of it I was listening to a book. Um, I listened to some podcasts. Some of it, my mind was just wandering. I was thinking about work. Some of it, my mind was wandering. I was like thinking about stupid stuff, like I don't know, the Red Sox trade deadline. And then some of it, I'm like thinking about. I'm trying to actually focus and meditate. And so I'm like breathing in through my nose, out through my mouth. I'm like listening to the trees. I'm trying to like track animals. And I wish I could spend the entire run in that state, but like sometimes your mind drifts back to whatever.
Yeah. I feel like when I was running, like I definitely will like lose track of time, like because I
Yeah.
get just so caught up in my head or in the music I'm listening to. I do run with music, but it's or like a podcast, and then I'm like, oh my God, I have to go back or something. But that's usually like
Well,
my zone too.
well, that's the place to be, right? Like the best place on a
Yeah.
run. There was a moment in that run where, if you're looking at your watch and you're like, my God, I hope I've gone 14 miles. Oh my God, I've only gone
Yeah.
13.
It's
Then
not
you're
good.
then you're not doing well. If you look at your watch
Yeah.
and you're like, God, I hope I've gone 14, and you've actually gone 18, then you're like, ooh, things are going
I
well in
know
my
that's
head
a
today.
beautiful moment, right? Where you're like, shit, I ran too many miles.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Back to your book, what do you hope that readers take away from the running ground, especially, people who maybe don't consider themselves runners, but just like following you and your AI stuff or your career?
Not that many people have read it, but my favorite feedback has been the people who, I've got a couple of maybe two who read it, and including I had three editors at Random House, but the second one, she said that after she read it, like she hadn't gone running in years, but she went running. And I thought that was wonderful. And so there's like, I want people who don't run, who don't know a lot about running, to feel like they understand it better and want to do it. Right. So one of the books that I read it
Yeah.
twice, was William Finnegan's Barbarian Days, which is his
Okay.
memoir of his life, and it's through surfing. And you read it and you get this, I don't surf, but I
Right.
have this, I left the book with this sense of like, oh my gosh, there's this beautiful world of surfing that involves different waves and cultures and boards longboards and shortboards and this kind of wave and that kind of wave. And just having been in that world, you have a real appreciation, and it makes you, and the point isn't that I appreciate surfing more, but it gives you an understanding that there's so many other worlds out there that you can get inside of. And like, there's probably a barbarian days that you could write about, I don't know, Nerf football, right? And like just your understanding of, I want people feeling that their understanding of the world has broadened because they've been able to get inside of running and they can see that like what this sport can offer you about things that are relatable in your life, right? And there's,
Right.
My recovery and my story of cancer, it's not the stories of cancer, it's like a particularly non-dramatic one. Lots of people have been through it, but I think them understanding what the role that running played in it for me, maybe they'll understand something more about what they went through or what their sister went through. I think that's what I want.